Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, what we have here is that we have it to where Washington State allows 13-year-old children to not have parental consent to do any sort of procedures in their life because they have full authority of doing so. So that being said, say if there's something that maybe if you want drugs or birth control or anything higher or crazy, you're allowed to do it and you don't have to tell your parents. This is the insanity here, and I'm going to also tell you that this is linked to the transgender ideology. So again, we're going to be going on to why this is linked onto transgender ideology. But first, we have to show this to this mother has something to say about this, because obviously a lot of parents don't seem to know about this, which is rightfully so, because it's completely ludicrously to have this even be available.
To rant about something and it might ruffle some feathers. If you live in Washington State, this is a PSA for you. I took my daughter to her well child checkup. She's 14 years old. The doctor kicked me out of the room. And at first I'm like, okay, maybe they'll talk to her about some things that might be uncomfortable to say in front of mom. Like, I can respect that. The only thing the doctor said is there anything you need to tell me? Is there anything that you want to say? Like, kind of pressuring her to say something. My daughter proceeded to be like, no, I don't need to say anything to you. Bring my mom back into the room, please. Stay with me for a minute, because I know there is a time and place for that. For some kids, they do need to speak without parents in the room, and I respect that. That's not why I'm mad. Did you know that now that she is 14, I no longer have access to her medical records and her documents?
That is wild. That is absolutely wild. And the thing is, when we're going to go over the article here, and I'm going to explain it to you guys, you're going to be shocked and baffled on what this doctor says and kind of the things that are being alluding to this whole transgender ideology. Now, this is a huge problem. The fact that you do not have the ability to know exactly what's going on with your kids is insanity to me, because there are diseases that you may or may not know, or some things that are coming up that you may or may not know, and you need to have these medical information to, best properly treat your child. And if your child is going behind your back or what have you, then that's insane. Now, obviously, as she said, there are actual justified reasons, for embarrassing or whatever topics that you may or may not want to tell your parents or whatever. That's understandable, right? That can be great. And then the doctor relays the other stuff to you. That's perfectly fine. That's understandable. I don't have a problem with that. However, the fact that we have here that the doctor is being kind of like a predator in a way, preying on the child and saying, okay, what do you have with this, et cetera, and kind of like goading this person to what's been going on. And this is a very similar situation on what trans people, or what, not trans people, but rather trans ideologists or activists do to kids to try to move them into a certain point, right? So let's let her finish this.
They removed her from my chart. Let that sink in for a second. She's 14. She's not 18. She is a minor. She can make a doctor's appointment, request medication, schedule procedures without my consent, without my knowledge. They will not notify me as the parent. This is where it gets tricky. It's my insurance. It's my money paying for her visit, my money paying for her prescriptions, and my car that drives her there. She is a child. I wasn't even allowed to have access to the forms discussing the visit that she had, the one that I was in the room for. And then when she mentioned that she wanted something to help regulate her acne, they tried to push her to start birth control. I was like, absolutely not. All we need is like a topical or maybe an oral pill to help clear up her face. The doctor then turned to my daughter and said, you can do your research. You have that choice. You can make an appointment to come see me behind your mom's back, and I will get that birth control for you. And my daughter's like, okay, thank you, but I don't want that. I don't understand why they couldn't just say, okay, you have a skin issue. Let me get you a prescription for like a topical cream that can help clear it up, like a spot treatment. Also, if I don't have access to her records, how am I supposed to pay for her bills?
Yeah, exactly. Because how do you pay for their bills? Another thing too is that like the doctors are like, oh, by the way, F you parent. Oh, by the way, kid, here, here's what's good for you. This is what you could do. This is what you could do behind your parents' back, which is completely insanity to me. Okay, I know, and I've heard a lot of women, and some women are complaining that birth control is actually just not good for you. It's actually technically bad, and there's a lot of problems that's being related to birth control. And I don't think women should ever be taking this. And there is another issue onto that as well, where birth control can be an actually negative towards your relationship because it can just change on who you're actually attracted to. Now, before I get into that, we're going to finish this. But the fact that we have states, particularly Washington State, that is doing this type of stuff is insanity to me.
How am I supposed to pay for her copays? How am I supposed to pay for her bill for the visit or the prescriptions that she can request? This is a problem. And not every kid has a phone. How are they supposed to schedule? How are they supposed to go on a My Chart and make their appointments? This state is messed up.
And that's worrisome why. See what I mean by like how liberals are specifically ruining everything here for people. These liberals are insanity here, and I'm not saying this woman's a liberal because she doesn't seem like she would be. But even if that was the case, even if she was Democrat or what have you, it's still showing that it's still showing the fact that she does not agree with this. She does not want this be a reality here. What I would say, all parents is just move away from Seattle, move away from Washington State, because obviously your kids are in great danger here. They're trying to manipulate and trying to groom your children to take these hormone pills or whatever. This is another thing being realized. So before I get into that, I'm going to show you this clip of like how attraction is changed on if you take on hormonal birth control and stuff like that. It's insane here, and how kids be forced to take this when they're 14 years old, when they're not even supposed to be sexually active in the first place. I sure as hell wasn't. I mean, I was playing action figures, going to hang out with the bros over there. You know, I was being me. I was chilling. What are we doing here? Like, 14-year-olds should not be sexually active whatsoever, and if they are, that's a problem. So, without further ado, here's the actual clip.
And the partners met when the woman was on hormonal birth control, and now she goes off of it. And what they found was that when the women discontinued hormonal birth control, it did lead to changes in sexual and relationship satisfaction within the dyad. And the women reported changes in both of those things. But it turns out whether it made that worse or made it better depended on how attractive her husband was. And so what they found is that for women who were partnered to really attractive men, when they went off of hormonal birth control, they reported an increase in their sexual desire and an increase in their attraction to their partner. And that's exactly what you'd expect estrogen to do. It's like all of a sudden estrogen is back on the scene. It's like, oh my gosh, like here's my libido and sex, and this is wonderful and hooray. But for women who were partnered with less attractive men, what they found was the opposite. And that was that they reported a decrease in relationship satisfaction and a decrease in sexual satisfaction and sexual desire in their relationship.
Yeah. So that is absolutely wild. I cannot believe this is just the reality here. Like, this is insane. So, again, why would you want to give this to children anyways? I mean, they shouldn't be taking this at all. They shouldn't be. I don't think any woman should be taking birth control, whatever. Just let it flow. Just like, if you're going to go do the deed, just prepare for what's going to happen. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's good, because then again, this can ruin your relationships, because essentially it makes you attracted to somebody that you normally wouldn't be attracted to, which is completely fine. But what ends up happening is that women would be, if they're on birth control, would be normally not attracted to males that don't have a very masculine frame, are not very, masculine in general, and it makes them put with like a beta male or some type of stupid person that they would normally not be attracted to, because they don't serve that woman's protection. They don't meet that requirement. This is all biological here, so this is not really a surprise on what we're doing with this. So if that is the case, it could very well easily put a woman in danger per se, because they're with a person that they just don't want to necessarily be with, and this ruins your relationship because you're not attracted to them anymore. That's insane. That should never be a cause for it, but it happens. So therefore, we have this as well. We have this from the right of as rain, and this is how your teen's privacy changes when they turn 13. So we're going to ignore this here, but we're going to go on to why Washington law protects your teen's medical privacy. In Washington state, when a child turns 13, their parents no longer have access to certain parts of their medical records, which can be an adjustment for families who are used to easily accessing that information. The state laws on minors and healthcare access ensure that certain sensitive information stays confidential between teens and their healthcare team and won't be automatically shared with their parents. That's a huge problem. This is actually to be proven true, as this woman is saying here. It goes on to say, why does this happen? The primary reason to protect children and ensure they get the care that they need, no matter their family situation, according to Dr. Julian Davies, a pediatrician at the Pediatric Care Center at UW Medical Center, Roosevelt, and a UW School of Medicine clinical professor of general pediatrics. He goes on to say here, and I quote, the laws recognize a right to privacy and autonomy around mental and reproductive health teens and want to follow the law and provide the best care for our patients, says Davies. Studies show that sexually active teens are a lot more likely to use birth control and get tested for STIs when parental notification is not required. Okay, so I don't see how that's necessarily a problem. That probably means that they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, but it goes on to say here, he goes on to explain that teens also feel more comfortable talking about their mental health and or substance use when they can speak confidentially. Well, that's fine. The kids don't have to necessarily have the parents there or what have you to know we talk about some of this stuff. However, you could give access to the parents about the talks what the woman was talking about, but that's not what you're doing. It says these privacy laws kick in at 13 because kids are going through many changes at that stage, both physically and mentally. In response, doctors incorporate more information about topics like, this is the big thing here, like sexual substance use, and gender identity and mental health into teens. So that's where we're going here with gender identity. So that's the reason why. Another thing, and then if we go this here with service teens and can access without your consent, says at age 13, minors can make their own decisions about inpatient and outpatient mental health services. They can also seek either outpatient or inpatient substance abuse services. In some cases, they may also be able to get consultation related to gender identity without an authorized adult's consent. At age 14, minors can make decisions about receiving sexually transmitted diseases tests and treatment. And then at any age, minors can get birth control, have access to abortion-related services, or receive parental care. And then in certain services, again, why this is related to the transgender ideology, certain services like gender-affirming medical treatment such as puberty blockers and hormone therapy still generally require parental consent or patients under the age of 18 in Washington. So there you have it. And then let's just go to this, right? We will go to this here where we show again, why this is another big issue. Because, again, it says in general here that minors, hold on, I need to pop this up. Okay. It says, in general, minors cannot receive hormone therapy, including puberty blockers or gender-affirming hormone therapy, without parental consent. Most medical procedures for minors, including hormone therapy, require parental consent unless the minor is deemed mature enough to make their own medical decisions. Then we go to the legal requirement. It says, generally, all medical treatment for minors requires parental or guardian consent. This includes hormone therapy for gender dysphoria. And the mature minor doctrine, there are exceptions. Some jurisdictions have mature minor doctrine where a minor, depending on their age and maturity, may be able to consent to medical treatment without parental consent. There we go. However, this is not universal and varies by state, which is allowed by Washington state. For gender-affirming care, including hormone therapy and puberty blockers, the general rule is parental consent is required. This is because the treatment can have significant long-term effects. Exactly. So therefore, the kids do not have to tell the parents about their transition or about their procedures of what they're going to do when they go under the knife. So again, this is a massive breach of parental rights and a huge issue on why they're doing this. This is a massive problem. This is the reason why this is all related to gender and transgender ideology. This is sick, and Trump needs to notify this and have these things outlawed. This should not be allowed whatsoever. Parental rights need to have way more power than this, because this is insane. And of course, again, what we have here is that if we go down to one last thing here, let's go to abortion, right? Say a kid does get pregnant, and while there is while post-abortion bleeding is a normal part of the recovery process, excessive bleeding can be dangerous and require medical attention. Heavy bleeding after abortion caused by uterine atony, retained tissue, or uterine injury, and in rare cases can be fatal. So again, if the parents are not notified on why their kids are having these issues, it means that they don't know what's been going on with their kid and sexually or what have you, and can lead to other problems. This is a massive problem. Parents should know life or death situations here, and I don't know how this is allowed to go through. This is why Washington State is sick. This state is just abhorrent, and I can't believe people allow this to happen. This is beyond disturbing. So, parents, if you're in Washington State, know about this and keep your parents. Probably a good idea is just to move, because this is disgusting. You need to have it to go to a place to have more parental rights, because I can't believe that they do this. And this is what you get for being in a liberal state, in a far left state, because obviously they care more about butchering your children and, harming your children than actually trying to help them. So, all right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.